Anjali Rao, Rob McKnight, and David Robinson.
And Rob the Robbo News, entertainment too. It's the Ange Rob the Robbo, Ange Rob the Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show.
Hello and welcome indeed. Yes, I'm Rob McKnight. You remember me. I'm here every week. I tell you who hasn't been here every week, but she is with us tonight. Anjali Rao, get on in here.
Hello, how do you do? My name is Anjali. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, your name's in the title. Be nice if you were here.
Oh my God, I'm so thrilled to be back. I missed you all so much. Seriously, this is my happy place.
Yeah, I will say, for anyone doubting, Ange has been working very hard on The Real Housewives of Melbourne, and she has constantly been messaging me to say, I love the show, I am coming back, do not give my seat to anyone, do not make another name change.
Absolutely right. I was really worried that my throne would be usurped by someone. It was, keeping me up at night. So I just thought, no, this Thursday, I'm back. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I tell you, Robbo's not back this week, but he will be back next week. He has been sick, but he's actually just taking a night off tonight just to fully recover. And so we look forward to having him back next week. I cannot wait. Tonight, stepping into Robbo's shoes, none other. He's back too. It's Jason Roses.
I'm so glad to be back. And again, like Ange, I thought Rob's going to replace me with some new entertainment reporter, but at least he hasn't, and I'm still here.
Another week, mate. Another week. Hey, I will say we are doing this new thing, Ange, where we have a look at who was the first to send a message through on our social media streams, and it was it was Madsen who did a hello guys. So well done, Madsen. Was the first to get on the stream. Coming up tonight, Joe Casamento is back with her film review. Jason will have all the entertainment news, and Bruno Boucher, the List King, he'll be with us too. So it's a big show, and there is a lot to cover. So let's get into it. And with Melbourne's COVID-19 lockdown extended, the Prime Minister has announced a disaster payment of $500 for eligible workers stood down without pay in Victoria. But the news comes as some people break quarantine laws around the country. In Alice Springs, two sisters aged 19 and 22 allegedly left a quarantine facility after jumping over a perimeter fence and getting into a waiting car. When the girls arrived at their mother's house, she contacted authorities and took them back to the facility. Both girls were fined. Oh, Ange, would you dob in your kids?
Yes, I already have done.
Really?
I did it when Izzy was about, I think he was only 3 or 4. He took a little figurine from Kmart. He just piffed it, and I said, "What are you doing?" When we got home, and there it was, and he's like, "Oh, it didn't have a barcode on it, so I thought it was free." That boy is headed for a law career. But I marched him back down to Kmart to the manager the next day to tell him everything, and so Izzy could make his apologies, because that's the way that you teach kids, right? So if we go back to these two sisters. So they allegedly abseiled out of their room and down the side of a building.
It's like The Great Escape.
I know. And then they, had a waiting getaway car there to abscond in. This was not those girls' first foray into sticking the middle finger up to rules that, bind everyone else. Plus, they're adults. They're 19 and 20. You've got to imagine their poor, long-suffering mother had probably just had quite enough of their shenanigans over the years. And she should be given the Mother of the Year award for not playing their game or taking the easy way out. The only thing I worry about now is that I really hope that the mum wasn't expecting to be invited to their weddings or meet her future grandchildren. That's not going to be happening. No.
Jason, I'm laughing about the idea of the escape, even though it's a very serious issue. Quarantine is there for a reason, so throw the book at them. But I do have to say, Jason, we see a lot of parents who stand by their kids through thick and thin, no matter what they do. Would you, as a parent, have said, you can't do that, get back there, or would you have called the authorities?
I've always thought this, like, I definitely would be like the fun parent if I was to ever have kids, but I feel in this instance, parents, like, we have to set examples for our children, and as you said, like, quarantining, COVID, it is very, very serious. I mean, Melbourne is in a huge, enormous lockdown, and we've got this sort of second strain from India. So I do feel as though parents have to make an example, whether their kids have like snuck out of home or they've had bad behaviour or they've stolen for something. It is up to parents to teach our kids. I mean, I don't think enough parents are, putting the hard fist down with their kids these days enough. And kids are getting away with so much these days. Like, I'm out and about and I'll see kids like being rude to people. They'll knock things over and not have any rules or consequences, or they're making loud noises at restaurants. I mean, gone are the days, and yes, I'm not going to say it, but gone are the days where good discipline and parents were able to discipline their kids, whether it was just a stern talking to or, just a strict tone. But yes, parents, teach your kids.
Back in my day when I was a youngster, says Jason, I get in trouble.
I'm 50 years old.
I get in trouble.
I'm being that grumpy. Yeah.
I get in trouble all the time in my house because when I go to a kid's concert, I am honest in my appraisal. And I get in trouble for it. And Jasmine, my eldest, still talks about the time she did a dance concert. And when she came off, she said, "What did you think, Daddy?" And I said, "Well, you didn't try. You weren't doing your best." Now, I'm not expecting my kids to be the world's greatest or anything. I'm not one of those stage parents, but I did expect her. We all went to this concert. We all wanted to see her, and she didn't do her best, is what I felt. And she ended up admitting that, she didn't try as hard as maybe she could have. And then now, when I give her and the other kids compliments about their performances, one of my kids did a play today, and she was genuinely the best in the class. And when I say that, it actually means something. Does that make sense?
Rob, you were...
Yeah,
I'm
exactly the same.
Sorry, hang on, Jason. You were insulting me?
I was. You were totally a stage parent. You're a stage parent to us. You're always like, right, guys, chip chop, we've got to get on. Like, you are the stage parent.
Yes, but doesn't it mean more? Doesn't it mean more when I actually say that was really, really good? Because I don't BS you. I don't talk you up when you haven't done a great job. But when you do, which is the reason you're here, because you guys do great jobs. When I say something, it's from the heart and I mean it. I don't BS you. Isn't that better?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I can always tell. Your face is so easy to read, Rob.
Oh,
it's like, even if you were telling us that, we were great, it's like your face says everything. But I'm exactly the same as you when it comes to kids' concerts, except only about other people's children. So
that does not surprise me. Does not surprise me at all, Anjali Rao. But anyway, let's move on, because a Tasmanian alderman has defended his love of gollywogs, saying he is not a racist. Clarence City Alderman Brendan Blomley has posted a photograph on his Facebook page with a photo of gollywogs accompanied by the caption, "Wonderful to know the PC Brigade haven't taken total control." Once a popular children's toy, the dolls have fallen into disfavour in recent years because, in the words of the New Zealand Human Rights Commission, they perpetrate the sort of stereotypes that often underpin racism. What do you think, Jason? Are gollywogs racist?
Look, firstly, let me start off by saying, and I've got a very strong opinion about how PC mad the world has gone. Like, we can't look the wrong way. We can't say anything to offend anyone. And as soon as we do, we've now got this huge cancel culture behind us. Do I think a gollywog is racist? I mean, let me just start off also. I have a very diverse mixed culture already, like, in my skin. Do I think they're racist? No, no. I mean, I think it's like it's portraying people of color, whether we have white skin, whether we have darker skin, no matter what color skin we have, and I have a very tan skin. But I think these, in my opinion, these sorts of dolls show diversity. They show different people's races. I mean, I've got a Spanish father and a mum who's Persian, and, you know, it's all about culture. It's all about teaching kids diversity and that people can look differently. They can have different color hair, different color skin. So do I believe it's racist? No, I mean, I believe it's important to show that the world is filled with diversity, and let's stop going piecing mad about everything. Soon, we're not going to be able to sell any type of doll with long hair, short hair, different colored hair, different toenails. Like, we're just not going to be able to do or sell anything. That's my opinion.
What do you think, Ange? I don't think the intent of anyone or most people that collected gollywogs was intentionally racist. They do look at the toys in hindsight and say there are racist overtones. People smarter than me can work that one out, whether that's right or not. It's hard to let go of something that you grew up as with a child, and you know you've built a collection on. Is it racist to own a gollywog?
Oh my God. I had a gollywog when I was little and I absolutely loved him. And guess what? I'm not racist. I know. It is possible to own a gollywog and not be racist.
Yeah.
So the original appearance of the gollywog back in literature in the 1800s was negative, in that he was sort of portrayed as this mischievous and sort of slightly evil but not racist character, which has only happened in more recent times. And I understand that there are those people who say that gollywogs are based on black-faced minstrels and, you know, darky iconography, which is racist. But what on earth do kids know about black-faced minstrels or darky iconography? You know, and you'd sort of think that somebody with a black doll would be inclusive rather than racist. The whole gollywog thing to me comes down to the actual word, much more so than the doll that people are affronted by. And if they called it something else, then perhaps the outrage brigade would give it a sodding rest. They must be exhausted.
Well, we've got just a couple of extra comments coming on this topic before I move on. We've got Jason saying, go Ange. So Jason agrees with you and Jason. Have we got any more there? Preach, Jason Roses. Oh, that's from Bruno Boucher. Good to see he's watching before he comes on a little later. You got Bruno's thumbs up. Are there any more before I move on, Abby? Oh, yep. The world would be so much better without the PC crap. Yes, there's certainly a truth to that, Travis. All right.
And also, can I just say before we move on that I am not offended by Barbie and her implausible body dimensions. I just want to put that in my part there.
Yeah, very good point. All right. A Belgian weightlifter has said allowing transgender New Zealand athlete Laurel Hubbard to compete in the women's event at the Tokyo Olympics is unfair and that the situation is like a bad joke. Hubbard has previously competed in men's competitions before transitioning in 2013 and is set to become the first transgender athlete to compete at the Olympics after weightlifting's governing body modified qualifying requirements for Tokyo. But many scientists have criticised these guidelines, saying they do little to mitigate the biological advantages of those who have gone through puberty as males, including bone and muscle density. Ange, this is actually a tough one and risks becoming a very political issue because, you know, I do want to make clear, we here at the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show, I think it's obvious we believe in diversity. We support the transgender community, but this is something that needs to be discussed. We have to talk about equality, and that is such an important thing. But does a transgender person, specifically going from male to female, have a competitive advantage in sports, especially like weightlifting and running, when their biology has been different, thicker bones, as the scientists say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, as soon as I saw this in the news, Rob, I knew it's absolutely what we would be discussing tonight. And it is a really difficult one because, you know, anybody who argues against including transgender athletes is immediately labelled transphobic, which
That's right.
just is not true. It's a really complex issue, and maybe it doesn't even have a solution unless trans athletes have their own competition category.
Yeah.
But, there's a reason why men and women don't compete in the same events, and that's because of the fundamentally different biological makeup of males and females. So athletes who have transitioned from male to female are generally required to take testosterone suppressing medication until the levels are the same of those of biological females. But as you mentioned, scientists say that they do practically nothing to, level that biological leg up of those who have gone through puberty as males, which includes, bone and muscle density and heart size, and hormone medication won't have any effect on that. And I think in this case with Laurel Hubbard, if the Olympics allow her to compete in the women's division, they need to allow the women to take steroids. If you make it fair for Laurel Hubbard, you make it unfair for every other woman.
There's also the argument that sometimes of different cultures, you can get different body sizes. So, sometimes there is a natural advantage that maybe someone from the transgender community is getting. Where do you draw the line on these things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I've mentioned the case to you before of Caster Semenya, the South African sprinter who has abnormally high testosterone levels.
Yes.
But she was born a female, identifies as a female, competes in female contests, and was, told by the powers that be that she was not allowed to compete unless she took special suppressing medication. But she was born a biological female and still wasn't allowed to compete against females with lower testosterone levels.
Well, Jason, I think Ange has picked up on something. Let everyone take steroids. Have a steroids Olympics. See how fast and how much the human body can endure.
I don't think that's the messaging we want to be sending to people who are wanting to compete in the Olympics. But you guys are right. Like, this is a very tough issue. I mean, I know for me, being, someone who has struggled with acceptance my whole life as a openly gay man, it's tough because, all we want in this world, anyone wants, is to be accepted.
Yeah.
But like Anne said, there are varying biological differences that do make up the genetic, patterns or, I should say differences between a male and a female. So it's so complex, it's so difficult, but it does need to be discussed. Do I think on face value, it's fair that someone who has competed in the men's division can compete in the women's division? Face value, do I think it's fair? No, because again, men have a different biological makeup. They are stronger. They have, I shouldn't say that actually, but they have different makeups. Bone density, I'm going to get attacked for that. I can see it now. The PC brigade.
But we
yeah,
know what you meant. I think it's a fair thing to say because we're talking traditional stereotypes and when especially on an elite athlete, it is fair to say that male athletes are usually stronger than the female athletes. Like if I was to go up against a female athlete, I'm gone in 5 seconds if I can last that long. We're talking about, we're comparing athletes to athletes.
Yeah, and this has nothing to do with acceptance, by the way. I mean,
of course.
Certainly not, as you know, we are a very diverse show. We are fully acceptance. I mean, I'm here, preaching that I'm openly gay. So this has nothing to do with that. Yeah. It has to do, I think, with fairness. And is it fair, if two people with different biological makeups in terms of, as Anne said, bone density and other things can compete when one might have a slightly better advantage? It's very tough.
And you know what? I can't think of a single case of a biological woman athlete who's transitioned to a man who then fights to compete against the biological men. Why?
Yes.
Because for exactly the reasons that we're discussing.
Yeah. And I do say, though, if people want to put that crap in their bodies, steroids, then we should let them do it and have one hell of Olympics and break every single record. Anyway, just me, I guess. All right.
No, don't promote that.
All right, here's one for you. Your best friend is getting married. She's always talked about you being her bridesmaid, But when the time comes, you find out you've been dumped because you wouldn't look good in the dress. That's exactly what happened to Layla when her best friend Francie got married. And instead of hiding the uncomfortable truth, Francie was completely open about it, saying, I just think the dress would be an issue given how you feel about yourself right now. I know the style wouldn't complement your body shape or be something you've ever typically worn, and I know you'd feel uncomfortable if you did have to wear it. Now, Jason, I reckon it's easy to write the bride off here, but after hearing that message, and it's a longer message on social media when she talks about the fact that she doesn't want to have to change the dress of her dreams, but she understands that she would have to compromise because her friend wouldn't feel comfortable. Do you think that she is doing the right thing by the friend, or did she just want great-looking photos with skinny how do you say it? Skinny girls? I was trying to say bitches, but I couldn't think of how people say I don't know how they say it, the young kids.
No, see, I'm all about this year I have gone and culled friends in my life. She is not a friend. I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with taking care of a friend. This has everything to do with I want good-looking wedding pictures. I'm not prepared to what? Make a dress a bigger size. If this is someone you call a friend, this is your biggest moment. For me and for a lot of people, friendships are everything. They are so important. You can't just palm off a friend because you don't feel like it, or you can't just palm off a friend on the biggest day of your life because you want a size. And I don't know what dress sizes like women do, but say you want a size 3 or 4 and she's not a size 3. I don't know if that's even a size for women's dresses, but my point is it isn't. Okay, great. I completely disagree with the bride here. She is, as far as I'm concerned, a fake friend, and for her to do that to someone that she cares about, that she loves about, is totally wrong. Like, you are
Jason. Okay, so let's go the other way.
No,
she gets the friend in, she's picked this dress, and the friend is like, I feel fat in this dress. What happens then, Jason Roses?
I feel fat in this dress. So as a good friend, you alter that dress to fit her body, to make her comfortable.
Wedding day.
Yes, you do. You want to surround your wedding with people you love, with friends. You're not going to have your best friend, Rob, walk in your wedding, stand next to you because you don't want to, put the dress size one up.
Oh, mate,
really?
If I ever renewed my vows or got married again, I would find the biggest, fattest person to be my best man so that I'd look pretty skinny next to them. I would absolutely go the other way.
Nah, this for me, let me just pipe in here. There's a lot of fake friends in this world, and this bride is one of them. If she's a real friend, you would make every effort under the sun to have her stand next to you on your biggest day.
What do you think, Ange?
I think the hideous bride lady didn't even come to her friend first to have the conversation. What a nasty piece of work. Plus the wedding, by the way, is an entire year away, which is easily enough time to drop 20 kilos. So if I were her, I would just put on a big smile, drop the 20 kilos, go to the wedding as a guest wearing something so fabulous it makes the bride look like a North Korean peasant farmer, and then never speak to the horrible, shallow cow ever again, except to thank her for making me easily the hottest person at her crappy wedding.
No, I wouldn't even give the bride the justification of attending the wedding. If I was told you can't be my bridesmaid, I wouldn't even go to the wedding. Not at all. I would want I would cull them from my life.
All right.
Yeah, they're gone.
There you go. And they're right. Jason is fired up tonight. I'm loving it. Hey, we've got to get to the biggest story of the day. This one is blowing my mind. How is this for a conspiracy theory? Willy Wonka is a child serial killer. Yep, you heard me right. That's the fan theory going around about the popular film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The theory goes that the main character purposely chooses terrible children to visit his factory so that he can kill them. Now think about this. Wonka intentionally chooses his victims for the tour and tempts them with a weakness he knew they would succumb to, leading to their deaths. Augustus Gloop is sucked into the chocolate river. Veruca Salt is projected down an ambiguous garbage chute. Violet Beauregard is turned into a human blueberry. And Mike TV is shrunk to 3 inches. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory never details exactly what happened to the 4 spoiled kids, but while we might have assumed they were okay, those incidents could have actually led to their deaths. Jason, it's a wild theory, but it makes so much sense to me.
No, it don't ruin. This was my childhood film. I loved it. Every time I watched this, I was like, I would get chocolate and I would drink milk and I would be happy. I don't want to think of him as a serial killer. No. You know what? This is someone in America, in like Alabama, with too much time on their hands, typing away, being like, what can I make up on the internet to give myself some clout? So to whoever you are, this is a boring news story. It's got no runs and we're palming this off. I'm palming it off.
I couldn't disagree more. Thinking about this, there's those scenes where he's like this, you know, he's stroking the hair of Mike TV. The boat ride where you're seeing chickens with their heads chopped off. This guy is a psychopath.
Oh my God, seriously, there was always something of the night about old Wonky Willie, and this is it. So the entire thing is about Wonka's obsession with murdering children, luring them into his lair in a would you like to come and see my puppy type of way, and then to their terrible morally based fates like Kevin Spacey in Seven. Sorry, massive retrospective spoiler alert there. But it totally explains why Wonka is totally chill with the various accidents and how the Oompa Loompas are always on standby to just burst into a pre-prepared routine as each kid is offed so that Wonka can indoctrinate an heir to his throne of blood. I completely agree, Mr. McKnight.
Okay, no, hang on a minute. You two crime buffs. Do you a serial killer? Because remember in the movie, he's invited the media and the world. Do you think a serial killer is going to go put on air to the global stage?
It's perfect. The kids don't come out. One, they've signed their lives away, literally, on that contract. They've signed their lives away. He just says, we haven't had people in the factory for years. We had a few accidents. It's terrible. It's terrible. Don't forget, this is back in the 70s. You lose a kid, people didn't care. You know, like they went, oh, well, they used to send kids down coal mines, for Christ's sake. You lost a kid, pop out another. That was the feeling back then.
I know,
Rob,
but
it's
also,
because you do that crime podcast. That's why you're so into this. You do that. You're into that podcast. You want to give it a
murder, serial killer confessions.
Yeah, give it a plug. God. This is like leading to something. You want to plug this podcast of yours. This is not true. You're probably going to make a whole talk about it on the podcast.
No, Ange, can I just say, the Oompa Loompas running around, Oompa Loompa, doompity-doo, I'm getting a knife and stabbing you through. Oompa.
Completely. And also, you know, Willy Wonka's not the only person. I feel the same way about Ferris Bueller. Total sociopath. Fake charm, zero empathy, compulsive lying, manipulative narcissist. He will stop at nothing to get his way, and I love him. I love him.
Future serial killer. Or President of the United States.
No. You guys have way too much time on your hands and you've really read into this. You've looked into this situation. He owns a chocolate factory, guys. That's
perfect way to lure kids in with chocolates. Come on, little children, come into my lair.
Oh, no. And your acting is terrible, Rob. Terrible.
All right, let's move on because there is still plenty ahead on tonight's edition of the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Let's take a look. We'll meet the action star of Arrow and The Hobbit as he takes us into the world of movie making. She was one of the biggest players in the Big Brother house, but now Jess has been evicted and she's stopping by to tell us how it all went so wrong. And Joe's with us. Joe, what have you got for us in movie news tonight?
Hey Rob, we're going to have a look at M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, and spoiler alert, it looks to have all the twists and turns we expect from him. I'm also going to fill you in on why the crew of the new Indiana Jones movie are terrified of their filming location. And I'll let you know my thoughts on The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Was it as scary as people are saying? All that and more in my Chop Top Chats coming up in just under 10 minutes.
Thanks, Joe. And in Jason's entertainment report, Kelly Osbourne's drug addiction. The star opens up on what she was addicted to at just 13 years old. Matthew Perry is making news again after his bizarre behaviour in that Friends reunion. And we'll take you to Disneyland for your first look at the all-new Avengers attraction. That's all ahead on the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Well, he's been in Spartacus, Arrow, the Hobbit trilogy, and countless other TV shows and films. But I'm sure he would agree it's all led him to this moment. Manu Bennett, welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show.
Hi guys, how you doing? Hey, talking about this moment, can we just talk about how long it just took to do the lighting here?
We like to be prepared. We like to make it look good.
What's going on behind the scenes?
Manu, you have been announced to appear at the Sydney and Perth Supernova Comic Con and Gaming this month. This is huge. You have a lot of these conventions all over the world. What's your favourite part of going?
Well, I think the big thing about doing conventions is you get to meet the public, in a very, collaborative way. People come and they want to find out, more about either the TV shows we're in or, just behind the scenes stories. It's really a celebration of industry, and with each person that you meet, you get into the coalface of how people have responded, I guess, to the projects that you've done over the years. There's nobody better to ask than a fan, and to get their perspective on it. So Comic-Con.
It can't be understated how big these things are. These supernova conventions, especially here in Australia, they go off, and the way people get to interact with stars like yourself is actually pretty unique, isn't it?
Well, I think it's modern mythology. Okay, I mean, in my take on things, we have so little modern authorship to sort of make genuine our place on this planet. And people tend to find their emotional reactions to TV shows and to films. And even though I play the kind of the number two in most shows, and kind of like this also is relative to cultural stereotype and certain things as well, things that I've become aware of as I venture through decades of being in the industry. However, story, as we develop on this planet, is becoming more universal. Netflix is now funding TV shows all over the planet as we get to know stories from different cultures. And, being a Māori myself and probably the second generation of Māori entertainers ever to be able to speak from my cultural perspective, it's great to be involved in a world that's evolving so much with storytelling and the ability to show it around the world. So yeah. This is all about what I think the subconscious part of Comic-Con is people really coming together to celebrate story. And there's nothing like seeing a young Maori boy who goes like, "Oh man, I saw you in that movie with John Cena," or something. Something. Any little comment, that you're contributing to the strength of culture and the way we build bridges. So that's, even though I grew up in Australia and that's where I started my acting career. Coming back to New Zealand gave me a true sense of my cultural identity and being able to take that abroad. Actually, when I came to New Zealand, I was known as John Bennett. And Manu was my middle name, but when I realized that I had this international platform, I wanted to have my Maori name, because back in the day, in my dad's generation, you weren't allowed to even have a Maori name. Yeah. You had to have so all these things are changing. Cultural celebration is happening, and there's a big resurgence here in New Zealand of the language and whatnot. And in any case, as I say, all of this is about storytelling, and Comic-Con is that celebration of storytelling.
That's really interesting because it shows the impact you've made in the art that you've chosen to do. But even playing orcs, you somehow manage to bring characters to life. You know, your face isn't out there like other actors. It's hidden behind makeup and the like, and prosthetics in various parts. How do you bring a character to life when you're partially hidden?
Well, that was probably one of the most demanding roles that I was ever challenged with. When you do a creature, then you're basically saying goodbye to who you are, and then you're adapting kind of like movement based upon whatever choices you make. I mean, with Arzog, I watched Jaws a couple of nights before I went down to Wellington to film it, and so I knew he was this big white, alpha predator, and so look at him there. I based him upon Jaws, the white shark, and I moved him really slow. I kind of lurked with him and just waited for those big teeth of his to open up and roar, and they'd originally cast a 7-foot guy with prosthetics.
Right.
The detail of the performance wasn't captured because prosthetics creates a whole bunch of other complications where you don't see natural movement. So they went back. It was like 5 months before the premiere. Peter Jackson decided to replace all of the Arzog performance.
Wow!
And so they digitally took this 7-foot guy off the screen and digitally put me on, and that was no small feat. As a matter of fact, just 2 days ago, I ran into a guy from post-production from Wellington who said to me, when Peter told us that, we were all like, this cannot be done. But they got me to do it. I was in form at the time. I was doing Spartacus, so my physical stuff was all up to speed. And then I really based the character upon Jaws and Darth Vader.
What a great mix.
And if you watch it, you can see that. When I explain that to people, which I do at Comic-Cons, they, oh, yeah, he does look a bit like that. Like,
well, I've got to say, it takes a lot to fool me because I know my special effects. I would have sworn that there were some scenes where you would have been in prosthetics so that you were actually there. So consider me fooled. So well done. An amazing performance from you, and amazing animatronics from the team at Weta. So amazing stuff. Look, you are a really interesting guy, and you can catch Manu Bennett at Supernovic Comic Con and Gaming in Sydney on June 19 to 20, and in Perth on June 26 and 27. Just head to supernova.com.au for tickets and information. Manu, thank you so much for being on the Ange, Rob and Robbo show. What a bloody legend you are.
Yeah, my pleasure, mate. That was kind of short, but there's so much more to talk about. But I mean, if the fans come along to the Comic-Cons, this is the place where you can find out sort of, all of this background information. There's quite a few people are going to be there this year from Spartacus. So if you're a Spartacus fan, come along. And there's any Arrow fans, I've got a million other stories about about Deathstroke and Slade Wilson and how that all came about. And there's stories behind the stories, and you can find that out at Comic-Con.
I've got a feeling you could do 2 whole days just by yourself, mate, and tell lots of stories.
Yeah, there's plenty to tell.
Good on you. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hey.
And now it is time to find out what's happening in the world of movies with Joe. Joe, finally, what I've always wanted on this show, just the chicks.
Hey, all right. Watch it, Ange. I'll come back in.
So much fun.
Rob's one of the chicks too. So, what movie did you catch this week, my love?
Oh, I have spent the day in the cinema all rugged up. I saw The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which is the third in the franchise. There was the 2013 film, of course, and the 2016 sequel, Conjuring 2. It's based on real-life events, which always gets me in because there is true historic fact behind it. And it tells the story of the first time in US history when a murder suspect claimed demonic possession as his murder defense in his trial. Let's take a look at the trailer, and I'll give you my thoughts.
The court accepts the existence of God every time a witness swears to tell the truth. I think it's about time they accept the existence of the devil.
You okay there?
Jesus. I think I hurt someone.
In 1981, Arnie Johnson pled not guilty.
We think this family was cursed.
By reason possession.
I am not going before a grand jury and saying he was possessed by demons.
Whatever happened that day, that was not Arnie.
Color me your color, darling.
Ooh, it's taking me back. Look, this film relies extra heavily on the jump scares and those traditional, things we expect from this kind of film, but it doesn't sacrifice the quality of the storytelling, I felt. It is a bit darker and more sinister than the first two installments, but I think it has a lot of emotional pull, and I really loved the story making of it. The key here is, of course, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, who play Ed and Lorraine, and they are just excellent in these roles. I think I could watch them do anything. They're a little bit like Scully and Mulder. So I'm actually going to give it a very respectable, from me, for a horror flick, 3.5 chalk tops out of 5.
What do you know? It does actually look quite creepy. And my favourite genre in the whole world is horror. And I'm always disappointed because my fear threshold is crazy high.
Oh, well, Ange, I'm going to say A Quiet Place 2. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and I think I gave it 4.5. So that's the one for you.
Okay, well, from one potentially scary movie franchise onto another, because M. Night Shyamalan, another movie from him is on its way.
That's right. Yes, Ange, the new trailer for his movie Old came out this week. It's a mystery thriller so right up his alley, and it's actually inspired by the graphic novel called Sandcastle. Let's have a little look at this trailer.
Wow. You believe I found this online?
I guess it's not that secret a beach.
Whoa. Who would leave this? From the hotel! They're so rusted!
What's happening?
Found stuff from the hotel in the sand.
Ready or not, here we come!
Wait, where are the kids?
Trent!
Kara!
Come here!
Hey, have you seen my children?
Mom? I'm right here.
Dad, why are you looking at me like that? What's happening to us?
My daughter just turned 6 2 weeks ago.
Mom?
Whatever's happening to us is happening very fast.
You have wrinkles. There's something wrong with this beach.
What's happening?
Mom! 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 I'm scared!
Oh, what's the twist, Joe? What's the twist? He's always got a twist.
He's always got a twist. Remember we interviewed him on Studio 10? He was so fantastic. Do you remember that?
Yeah. We played it.
Yeah.
We got him to do a trick or something, and he was great. He was fantastic. But there's always a twist. So is the twist that there were never any kids and this is all a dream? I don't know. He's always got some twist though.
Oh, he does.
I picked the village. The village twist I picked.
Oh wow! So I never. Did you pick the Sixth Sense?
Nah.
Was that? No one picked that. Did
No one did.
I see dead people. That was probably the most brilliant twist of all time, possibly. So that one will be out July 23, and I'm sure there will be lots of discussion about that one when it does. He actually said he was gifted the graphic novel by his daughters and was just so blown away by the premise. And as a bonus, there are 2 Aussies in there, Abby Lee and Eliza Scanlon. So that is definitely one I will be watching.
I think I might too. Now then, Joe, there's another Indiana Jones movie about to start production, amazingly, but not all of the crew are happy with the location, apparently.
That's right. I mean, Harrison Ford's going to be, I think, 79 by the time he starts filming, which is a good 20 years, I think, on from when Sean Connery played him at his... But anyway, the new Indiana Jones is set to be filmed at Bamber Castle, which is thought to be one of Britain's most haunted castles. There are stories about this castle. Apparently there is a pink lady who is said to walk the corridors, and legend has it that in the Middle Ages she flung herself off the battlements after her lover left her for a rival. Now, that all might sound a little bit silly, but apparently it's actually a real concern for some of the people working on the film. An insider even told The Sun that a surprising number of the crew really believe in this stuff, and it's rattled everyone. A number of the team are reluctant to even go into the oldest part of the castle. It's really shaken them up. Are you laughing, Rob? About, the quote from The Sun. It's obviously a major project, so it seems they're going to have to overcome their fears to begin production on the film, which begins next week. Of course, Harrison, as the iconic Indiana Jones, he last played that in 2008. So it's been a while since the fourth instalment. And while we don't know much about the film yet, we don't even know the title. We do know that it has some pretty great stars, including Fleabag's Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who absolutely shot to fame and success after that series. And another actor involved is Mads Mikkelsen. I wondered if that's related to our own Abby Mikkelsen.
Abby's dad.
Hannibal Lecter. He was in Casino Royale and Doctor Strange as well. So that's one, to watch out for. Definitely, it's been held up by COVID, so they'll be excited to get started on production.
So we've talked about The Conjuring, M. Night Shyamalan, and a haunted castle. What's something that families can watch together that doesn't involve a Ouija board?
That's right. It's almost like it's Halloween, isn't it? Well, let's brighten it up a little bit because Boss Baby 2 Family Business is out. Well, the trailer is out today. The first movie came out in 2017. It was a big hit and was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe. Has loads of stars. Let's have a look at the trailer.
I'm the boss, but it's lonely at the top.
Walk in the building, I own it.
Uncle Ted, I missed you so much.
That's my girl.
Woohoo!
You can't solve everything with money.
But you can, Tim.
You haven't changed at all.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt, but
What the frittata?
I'm in the family business. And now you work for me, boomers!
Let's roll. Is that me?
Baby Corp needs you to drink this formula for one last mission.
You want me to be a baby again? I'm texting him!
Give me that flock of seagulls. Hey!
The boss is back, baby! I work alone, or at least not with him.
We need to work together to save the family business.
We're going to have to face evil babies, creepy babies.
Don't look at me.
Jail yard babies.
I like glue.
And ninja babies? Is this some kind of a ninja boy band? Huh. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh! Hold on to your chaps. Go left! Go left! I'm gonna go where navigation says.
Turn left.
Thank you, navigation.
Oh, that looks like a lot of fun, right? That's out next month.
Fabulous. I might be missing that one because I hate animated movies. But anyway, we have talked about all of the huge productions happening in Australia, and one has now wrapped.
Right, and Thor Love and Thunder has officially finished shooting. Chris Hemsworth shared this snap from the set saying, "That's a wrap on Thor Love and Thunder. The film is going to be crazy, off-the-wall funny, and might also pull a heartstring or two." He's in the photo with Taika Waititi, who is just massive at the moment. He directed and appears in the film. He was in Drag Race the other day, and he also directed the last Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok. So with Chris Hemsworth post there, it sounds like it might be a similar feel to that one, I think, which was incredibly successful. It was the highest grossing of all the Thor movies. And Love and Thunder is currently scheduled for release on May 6th. Not till 2022, we're going to have to wait for that one. So almost a year away. Russell Crowe is tipped to be on board as well. He plays Zeus, I believe. So A lot of movies have been delayed though, so I can't wait to see them start rolling in all these big productions. So it's going to be an exciting year ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, we so love hearing all of the latest movie news. And I've missed it today, darling. It's so great to see you again.
Oh, no, I could squish you. Mwah.
Cheers, love you.
Cheers.
Bye.
It's the Random Life Shot of the Day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the Random Life Shot of the Day.
Well, today we are taking you to the Friends of Feline Rescue Centre in Ohio.
I wonder who picked that. Abby Mickelson.
They're looking after cats and kittens of all shapes and sizes, getting them ready for adoption. Each day they do 20 to 22 loads of laundry and 23 kilos of cat litter is used. These kittens are in for a stormy day today with a top of 23 and a bottom of 15. Oh, I want to be there. They're so gorgeous. Well, let's get into the feedback now. I have never done this before, so please be gentle. Aaron says, I didn't have the best day, so I have deliberately made sure I was here tonight with the family.
Oh,
bless you,
Aaron.
Oh, I hope we've elevated your evening, my love. Nicole says, Ange, you were very missed. I missed you too, my dear. Thank you so much for saying.
Yeah.
Gotta love our viewers. Justine says, we miss you, Robert. Yep, I think we can all relate to that.
Absolutely.
We miss him and wish him a speedy recovery. Mary says, nice scarf, Jason. Like Carlisle is Twilight. Oh my God, Kay says, I'm more worried about Rob than Willy Wonka. Yeah, I think we all are. Big Brother Oz says, Rob, who would you dress up as at Supernova?
Oh.
Wonder Woman.
Oh, it'd have to be the Doctor. Probably Tennant.
No, I see you more as Wonder Woman.
Oh. I've got great tassels.
Ew.
Oh, we love you guys. Thank you so much always for your feedback. And if you'd like to leave us a message, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at The ARR Show. We are also on Insta, Twitch, and TikTok at And Rob and Robbo. Rob? How many times can I say Rob and Robbo in one sentence? But Rob, it is back to you.
It's the name of the show. All right. Well, she was one of the most powerful people in the Big Brother house. Not only did she control the way people voted, but she was also a challenge beast. But this week, it all came undone for Jess, who was evicted. This is what she had to say immediately after she left the house.
It's heartbreaking. Like, that's not how I wanted to end. Not even close. I was praying I'd get in the top 10. And now they're going to get through Hell Week and have a great dinner. I honestly thought I was going to be safe. I just don't know where the vote went. The majority of the people in that room I have very strong bonds with, but SJ has the exact same bond. If it was myself and Ari, I think it would be a totally different story. But because Ari was saved, don't know why, I think Danny will be walking around like he is just the best thing that's ever walked that earth.
Jess, welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo show.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Look, I'm so thrilled you're here. You have been one of the biggest characters. Look, it was a blindside eviction, that's for sure. But you seemed to know it was coming once you knew Ari was saved.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because we had all our numbers on Ari, and then, walking into that eviction room and realising it was between SJ and I, it hit me straight away, and I was like, well, this is it. I'm actually going here. And to face those emotions and, that small amount of time was pretty, it was pretty hectic and pretty overwhelming.
And especially because you'd been such a strong player. We're looking at you saying goodbye there. We all thought you would make it to the final, to be honest. So that's why it was such a blindside.
Yeah, I never thought that I never had a moment in the house when I was like, yeah, I'm going to get to the top 3. But I always thought, my alliance was strong and that I can have an impact to ensure that the numbers do, fall somewhere else and not on me. But that's what we signed up to the Big Brother game. And I think that's the hardest part, is that you have to be prepared for those twists and turns. And I think the thing that stings the most is that I'd probably be still in the house if it wasn't for that major curveball.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. People have been discussing this about the manipulation of Big Brother. It is a game of manipulation and the rules can change. But when you've got a plan in place to get rid of someone and the rug is pulled out from underneath you, do you think that's fair or is it just part of the game?
It is part of the game, and when you sign the dotted lines before you enter the house, you have to understand that that is the game. If you're not prepared for that, then you can't be a part of the game. And yeah, the whole production team made it very evident to us that we just have to ensure that we enter the house knowing that those things might occur, and if you do feel unlucky, then it is what it is. You can't complain. Because we knew exactly what the case was going to be.
Well, fair enough. You were a powerful player in the house and made deals, sometimes broke deals, Jess. Hey? I'm specifically thinking about Nick here. Do you think you played a fair game?
Look, with that Nick one, it's so hard because in my mind, that was all to go against Danny. And it was pretty hard to look back on that because I love Nick so much, and it's just something we had to do. But no, I do believe I played a fair game. A lot of people won't agree with that, but I kind of strong in my heart that I did play a fair game, and I'm competitive, so I wasn't going to play it any other way.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, you always seemed uneasy around Danny, but you actually, to me, seemed happy when the two of you had an alliance, and when he went to say the alliance is off, you're like, no, it's not. No, not accepting that.
How was my reaction to it? When I watched it back, I was like, what are you doing? Yeah, I think Danny is a good human. He's got a big heart, and it just sucked that I wasn't one of his, not favourites, but one that he wanted to become close to from the start, and that was because he saw me work the room and he thought I was a threat straight off, and also because I was so close to Katie. So it was hard when he did tell me that he didn't want to work with me anymore, but I did understand where he was coming from, and he didn't want to be pulled through the game by myself, and because we are both, strong people, there was too many leaders rather than the people that are working with you.
Would you have blindsided him?
If I was working with him at the time, I wouldn't have. I was very much, my promise is a promise, and it was very big of him, and I give him credit to actually, sit me down and say, I don't want to work with you anymore. Yeah. But in the end, when our promise was broken, I would have 100% loved to blindside him.
Indeed.
To be honest.
Hey, look, Katie, you mentioned her, and there were already issues between her and Danny, which is probably what got you offside with him. But she was one of your closest allies. Here's what she had to say about you when she was on our show last month.
Here we go. I have one in the house, and that definitely helped me. I felt safe. I felt protected. I felt that she was there for me emotionally, and that is a massive benefit to the house for sure, and my time in the house, having a strong alliance.
She also said she's been asked a lot of times about whether you and her were an item, and she said, that's so unfair to Jess's girlfriend.
It is very unfair to Rhiannon, the poor thing. I knew Rhiannon before Big Brother. We weren't together, but my feelings were just as strong as what they are now for Rhiannon. So I've only ever viewed Katie as like just a best mate and brother, and we leant on each other in a big way, and I guess emotionally we were there for one another as well, but we were definitely, neither of us ever had the thought of, that this was going to be romantic. It was always that we're just best mates, and yeah, she's a great human.
No, it's funny, I had never even thought that. It was Katie that brought it up because she had just come out and was getting a lot of that commentary, but she also spoke about SJ's game in the house, and SJ's been a really interesting player. And Katie felt a lot of disappointment about SJ's vote. Have a listen to what she said. Were you surprised that she turned on you?
Completely surprised, and I am really struggling with it still now.
I can see that. Why has it affected you so much?
Because I was fiercely loyal, and although people did see me shake Nick's hand and say I'm not going to go for you, for everyone else, that I had their back. I genuinely had their back. I rooted for them. I rallied for them. Mel saw me in action. If you were on my side, I would put my body on the line, and I put my body on the line so much for SJ. And then when I needed her vote, the one time I needed her vote, she wasn't there for me. And it hurts. It still hurts.
You can see that, can't you? That it really did hurt, the betrayal she felt from SJ.
Yeah, even I was shocked when SJ pulled us aside at the kitchen and was saying, I'm not going to vote for, I'm not going to support you. I was just shocked because Katie put every ounce of energy into protecting SJ prior to that nomination. So it was pretty weird that, SJ even had the thought that Katie hadn't been there for her or protected her. And maybe that's been SJ's game plan since day one, but I felt for Katie huge, because if Mary ever spoke like that about me or didn't even want to protect me, and I know to a in a sense that she didn't protect me, but I understand why she didn't protect me. Whereas with Katie's situation, I still to this day don't understand what went wrong and why SJ didn't protect her.
It's interesting. Obviously, we didn't see that part where SJ actually was up front with you guys about what her plans were. But what do you think about her gameplay?
It's a tough one because I feel like she jumps ship as soon as things get rough, whereas that's just not how I roll. And I'm no dig at her at all because I love her so much. But, if things aren't working in my favour, I'll still stick with my, my Marlies and my Katies and Marys. But when things don't work out for SJ, she tends to run straight to Danny or run straight to the other side. Or in my case, she ran straight to Christina to try and get me out. And that's how she's played the game. And look, she's still in the house and she's doing a really good job. And kudos to her because, that obviously is working for her. But, yeah, I just wouldn't go by her game plan.
Fair enough. Well, Big Brother continues Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. on 7. Jess, you took me on a roller coaster ride in the house, but you were one hell of a player. Thank you for being part of Big Brother, and thanks for joining us on the Ange, Rob and Robbo show tonight.
Thank you so much. Love you all.
Oh, we love you too. Okay, we spoke to Joe earlier about all the movie news, but there is lots more happening in the world of entertainment, and Jason is going to take us through it all, and he's even changed to a sparkly background. Jason, Kelly Osbourne has gotten pretty candid about her battle with addiction.
Yeah, she's had a very public battle with drugs and alcohol, and she's actually relapsed quite recently, and she's been very open about it. She appeared on the Jada and Willow Smith's show, Red Table Talk, and she talked about basically how it all started. Take a listen.
I then kept getting sick, and I had a really bad case of tonsillitis. They ended up having to give me some crazy surgery, and then after that, they gave me Vicodin. And that was all I needed. And
are you kidding me right now?
I went from having every voice in my head being like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough, no one likes you, you don't deserve this, people don't like you because your parents are. And then all of a sudden, every single voice was silenced, and it felt like life gave me a hug.
Oh, so how old were you when you got your tonsils out? Vicodin will do that.
13.
Vicodin to a 13-year-old. I cannot believe that.
It went from Vicodin to Percocet, from Percocet to heroin eventually because it was cheaper. I got caught buying it, and then the very next day my mom put me in rehab. I was like, this is just vacation without a bar. I'm going to get out and do exactly what I want to do when I leave here.
Yeah.
Because I was not ready to lose my safety blanket.
Right.
How old were you when you were in rehab?
The first time I went to rehab, I was 19.
Got it.
Wow. And I've been going in and out of those places ever since.
Wow, she looks like her mum.
Really sad, and I feel for her. It's something that affects so many people, and she's always been, Rob, quite open in her attempt, I guess, to support those people who share with her struggles. But it's sad to see that, her addiction started from 13 years of age.
I can't help but think that's bad parenting. Sorry, I just can't imagine not knowing what my kids are up to and if they're taking substances like that. I just can't imagine
her father was obviously, one of the most prolific drug addicts in the entire world. But I've always loved Kelly Osbourne. There was a show that she did in the early 2000s that I never missed an episode of, and I've actually always really liked her. She's totally upfront, and that she comes out and says this is really important, I think. Look, so Jace, I'm stuck down here in Melbourne. It's lockdown all over again.
I feel sorry for you.
It's not that bad for me, to be perfectly honest. But I know that it has, had a huge impact on lots of people and on TV productions as well.
Yeah, so as you all know, Melbourne has been ordered into their 4th lockdown due to COVID clusters, and Mad as Hell has been affected. Last week they were taping the premiere episode with a live audience, but they've had to cancel that audience who had already been allocated their tickets. Now, this was going to be the first time having their audience back since COVID. It is, of course, very, very disappointing for the ticket holders and the cast and the crew. But I guess with the restrictions now in place, if you have to protect those in the cast, the crew, and particularly the audience. But I'm sure it'll be back up and running as soon as this lockdown is ended. Take a look. Gosh, I miss that show. Isn't it just great? Just wonderful.
It's on every Wednesday. It's back, Jason. You can watch it. And it's available on ABC iView.
Oh, great.
You don't have to miss it anymore,
all right, Jason.
It's
we talked about Kelly Osbourne a little earlier, but we saw that Friends reunion where Matthew Perry was acting really strangely, but he's had a bit more sad news this week.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. It started with those sort of photos where he looked quite, I guess, tired, but he split with his partner of 3 years. The pair were engaged last year. He hasn't given an exact reason, but in a statement to People, he's gone on and said some things just don't work out, and this is one of them. I wish Molly the best. He, of course, recently appeared on the Friends reunion, and there were some people that were concerned. He's had a public battle with addiction, and, of course, a lot of people are left wondering if that's contributed to the breakdown of this relationship. Of course, it's very sad news nonetheless. It couldn't come at sort of worst timing with the Friends reunion on air, and now the breakdown, of this relationship. Feel sorry for him. My heart breaks for him. He was so young back then. They all were.
What, 30 years ago they were all young? Yep, that's right.
and I was 3.
Wow.
Oh my
Okay.
God. But Jace, one of the stars of Kim's Convenience, great show, isn't too happy with the experience that he had on the show.
Yeah, Simu Liu, he was going to be the lead in Marvel's new movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of 10 Rings. He's issued a very lengthy statement on Facebook, and this is some of what he had to say. For how successful the show actually became, we were paid an absolute horse poop rate. The whole process has really opened up my eyes to the relationship between those in power and those without. We never banded together and demanded more, probably because we were told to be grateful to even be there. Maybe also because we were too busy infighting to understand that we were deliberately pitted between each other. He went on to compare his pay to the like of Schitt's Creek, whose Kim's Convenience were outrating. He also went on to clear up rumours that after landing the Marvel role, he was too Hollywood for the show and that he desperately tried to make the schedules work. He, of course, also went on to say he was disappointed by the lack of growth in the character and missed opportunities to show Asian characters with real depth. I mean, I'm more curious to find out actually how much they were paid.
Well, it's interesting because when you sign up for these shows, the way it works in America, and this was a Canadian production, so different but sort of the same. With America, they will sign you up for 7 seasons. Sorry, Ange?
Hence the comparison with Schitt's Creek, which is also a Canadian production.
Yes, but when you sign up for a show in America, you are automatically signed up for 7 seasons. That's why a successful sitcom will always go a minimum of 7 seasons, and then the real negotiations begin. But what happens in America is that if the show becomes successful, even though they've got you tied in at a lower rate, the production companies and the studios all think ahead and start giving more money. It sounds like here they got a bit of a bump, but weren't given the full Hollywood treatment, even though the show was rating really, really well. It's sad. It was a great show. It's a shame that they didn't look after the cast right and that it got cancelled so quickly. It's just dropped on Netflix, and the fact that they're not coming back for another season, and there's talk of the showrunner, the lack of diversity with the lead team. There's certainly sounds like there were some problems behind the scenes, and he has sort of alluded to that here. So it's interesting. But there is some pretty exciting news for Avengers fans tonight, Jason.
Yeah, it's been unveiled. I'm so excited about this because I love Disneyland, a new area of Disney California Adventure Park in LA. It's called the Avengers Campus. Now, this is going to include rides, attractions, character encounters. I am so excited because every time I visit LA, can I just say I always go to Disneyland.
Oh, now, as you do, darling. Every time you drop into LA, I'm off to Disneyland. Yes.
Yeah, well, that doesn't sound very posh. I mean, it's to go on the rides and, eat a churro. Everyone is talking about the web slingers, and it's a Spider-Man adventure. Characters, of course, include Iron Man, Black Widow, Black Panther, Thor, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and more. You can, of course, visit the Avengers headquarters as well. Now, this does open up to the public on June 4th, so it is a must-see for any Avengers fans or anyone like me that is a fan of Disney, loves Disneyland. I haven't been in years, but just, oh my God, look at them all flying and doing all those tricks. See, that's what Disneyland's about. It just makes you feel like a kid when you're there and you have cotton candy and you grab a churro.
Yeah,
and
it's just a shame that we can't actually go because of COVID restrictions. But otherwise, yes. In fact,
great, right?
Yeah, the family and I went right before COVID. We literally finished our American trip. It was a big family trip at the beginning of 2020. And just as we were coming back, COVID was starting to be talked about. And then when we got back, it hit big time. And obviously, no travelling to Disneyland. Jason, thank you very, very much for that. And before we go, it's time to check in with Bruno. Bruno Boucher, get on in here. Hello, sir.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I just got home from work and I noticed that on the couch there was a copy of It Girl magazine. Have you guys heard of It Girl magazine?
No.
No. Well, I'm guessing that from the letter to the editors, it's like for 10-year-old girls. And I was just reading their stuff about fashion, and they just refer to everything as super cute. Like, look at these super cute boots, and then these super cute tops, and super cute personalized aprons. So I'm all about it. I like
No,
that.
you know what my favorite thing about this so far is, Bruno? The best thing about this is the whole, look what I came home and found.
Yeah. He bought it from the store.
I sort of feel like I might get arrested reading that magazine. Like, that's not, like, it's a bit iffy. But listen, guys, I wanted to talk to you guys about the ABC, right? They've done this big Australia Talks kind of quiz thing where they quizzed 60,000 people in Australia about some important matters, some trivial matters, and basically you then go to their website, you answer the questions, and it tells you where you rank, like with relation to your fellow Australians. So. As I said, some serious, some trivial. The first one, and this was on their little ABC News breakfast show this morning, was about taking your shoes off when you go to someone's house. Here's the clip.
You're visiting someone's house for the first time. You walk up to their front door. Do you stride on in, or do you stop at the doorway to slip off your shoes? 29% of the time, your host would expect you to leave your footwear at the door.
So, they're hitting the big issues, which is great. But I don't know. How do you guys feel? Are you in the 29% that are take off the shoes, or are you in the 55 which just keep them on?
I will take them off if I'm asked. I don't think to take them off, to be honest, and I would never ask people to take their shoes off.
I always offer when I was raised, like if I go to someone's front door, I'll be like, would you like me to take my shoes off? Because you know what? Especially if you've got timber floors, if there's one rock in that shoe, it scratches everything.
Isn't there something personal about, what if I haven't put matching socks on, Ange?
It's like, do you know how much my shoes cost? I didn't buy them to take them off. Are you insane?
Oh, Ange, I'm 100% with you because, look, I'm not the most fashionable guy, but when I put an outfit together, the shoes kind of match the rest of the outfit. So if all of a sudden I'm walking into someone's house and I have to take off my shoes, my outfit's unbalanced and, I don't have the same confidence that I have. So I'm probably looking into it a little bit too much. Yes.
Bruno, it's like saying, you're coming into my house, you're going to sit on my furniture. Could you remove your pants, please? It's the same thing. People are not dressing their socks. If you take, who knows what socks I'm wearing? I haven't got a clue what socks I'm wearing. People aren't thinking about their sock wear when they're going to someone's house. Could be very embarrassing.
It's exactly like asking someone to take their pants off when they knock on your front door. You're absolutely right.
I need more of those friends, Bruno. I'd be happy to take my pants off.
Taking your pants off is what happens if you go for a date. But, you be polite, take your shoes off.
Now, guys, listen, apparently how rich you are plays into whether or not you ask guests to take off their shoes before entering their homes. Here's the next clip.
But there's also a statistically significant divide between Australians on the lowest incomes and those who earn more, who presumably don't want your dirty shoes on the nice carpet.
But hang on, don't you think it'd be the other way around? Because I think of myself, right? So when I was starting off in my career, I didn't have a lot of money. So when I'd invite people over, I'm like, I don't want anything to get scuffed up because I can't afford to fix it. But now that I'm loaded, I'm just like, whatever. Come in with footy boots on, like whatever. We'll just get it clean. Like, don't you feel it's like that? Ange, you can relate.
I can, Bruno. Obviously I can. The second that anybody walks in here with their shoes on, it's just like, I don't care what you've brought in. I'll just get a whole new parquet flooring. That's absolutely fine with me. And I'll get brand new Ming Dynasty carpets to match.
Hey, listen. What about we look at another one of the big issues from Australia, from the ABC's Australia Talks quiz. So the next one is, I know many of my neighbours' name. So that's the question. Oh. Do you know many of your neighbours' name? And so essentially, we mostly all reckon that we do. Guys, do you know your neighbours' names?
Yeah.
I would have no clue. None.
I know the specific next-door neighbours. Beyond that, no. But my two neighbours, yes, absolutely.
I only do because she comes to watch my cat when I'm not here.
Very good. Hired help. Look, I'm mates with all of my neighbours, but I've forgotten their names because, they stay at the first time. And if you're like me, you're socially awkward, so you're not really, you're thinking about what to say next. So they'll say their names, and you're not recording it in your brain. And I'm in too deep. I've been living here for 3 or 4 years. I can't just go, hey, what is you called? What's your? So I'm always just like, hey, hey.
I'll give you a tip. No, I'll give you a tip. If you have a friend pop around, go to that friend and introduce your friend to that neighbour. Be like, this is Jessica, and then hopefully your neighbour mentions their name to your friend.
No, I've done that at work. I've done that at work before, and I'll have the other person looking at me like, are you going to introduce me? And I'm like, oh, I can't because I don't know your name.
There is a much, much easier way of doing it. Just go into their mailbox.
Yes.
And look who the letters are addressed to. I mean, I know that mail theft is a thing.
That's illegal.
The rules aren't for me, Jason.
No,
don't do it at my place, Ange. I've got a security camera. I'm always watching to see who's taking my mail and pooing on my lawn. Watching. But
Ange, I love that because you know what you can even do, Ange. You can take it one step further and go through their mail and kind of see like, correspondence from the doctor, and then you can just bring up with them next time like, hey, how's that hemorrhoid going? Is that under control, or is that still causing some discomfort? You had a closer bond to your neighbour because you've snooped on them. All right, the next question that the ABC asked is, I have relatives, friends or colleagues who make racist jokes. Now, there's a lot going on there in that graphic, but basically, as you get older, you claim you have less people in your life who make racist jokes. And the way that I think that works is because either A, your hearing's gone and you can't hear those jokes anymore, or B, all your mates have died, or C, you're the one making the racist jokes, not your friends. Guys, do you in your circles, do you hear racist jokes?
No, I think it's more when you're dealing with acquaintances or people you don't know and you're not at that comfortable level to call them out about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're in a new group of people and you hear something racist, you probably just will let it go and not say anything. I don't know.
Do you feel like a sellout when you have to laugh at a joke that you wouldn't normally laugh at, but you don't want to cause issues, so you'll laugh at the racist joke?
That's the whole point of being on this show, Bruno.
Right, yes. Understood, yeah. Jason, you strike me as someone that loves a racist joke.
Oh, I grew up in an all-boys school. So back in the day when
you grew up in an all-boys school. You didn't. Not only did you attend the all-boys school, you grew up.
They left him there as a baby, and the boarding school took him in and raised him.
Yes, basically, they raised me. They found me on the mountains like naked. No, I went to an all-boys school, and I think with a lot of my mates, there was often a lot of those jokes, but I'm talking sort of 15, 20 years ago. But now I think because everyone is so and I'm not racist, but I think everyone's so concerned about saying or doing anything wrong. No one says anything that even might not be racist but could be funny. Like, I'm scared about putting on a Spanish accent, like on the radio, even though my dad's Spanish, because someone might say you're racist, but surely I can put on a Spanish accent because he's Spanish. So I don't even do anything now. I'm no fun. I'm like an old grumpy person.
But Jason, I'm with you, because how funny is a Manuel from Fawlty Towers impression? Like that'll always get me laughing.
I can do it. Oh, can I do it now? Oh my gosh, no! I'm putting myself on the spot. No, I can't. No, I'm not.
You have to now, Jason.
Do you know something? Can I tell you something like very, very sexy, Bruno? I love your accent and just how you're dressing and everything about you is you're just so good looking with your beard and everything.
That's more of a Ricky Martin.
Yeah, that was great.
But I love it. Bravo. And guys,
That was more like a Selena Gomez. Yeah. Selma Hayek.
And guys, the final question from the ABC's big quiz, something lighter. How often do you change your bed sheets? Ooh, that's a good one. The majority are doing it about once a week. 1 in 20, though, are changing their sheets multiple times a week. What's going on over there? Why are you having to change your sheets so much? Guys, come on, that's irresponsible. That's not good for nature to be changing your sheets multiple times a week, right?
Yeah,
No,
several times a week.
Something wrong with that. Really, really wrong with that. Like, these people.
I'm like once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Every week, every fortnight is acceptable.
But
I don't know I don't know if this makes me weird, but I actually like it when my bed sheet gets a little bit like kind of like not stinky, but it's like my smell, and it's like nice and familiar to me. You know, like it smells like safety. You know, I feel safe.
And this is exactly why you and your wife have separate bedrooms.
Oh, I'm going to show you my bed sheets. Hang on. I've got to show you guys my new
hang on,
bed
do we
sheets.
want to see them? Are they stiff as a board?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Can we not?
Don't get the loophole and the ultraviolet next to it.
Oh my God.
Hannah,
You guys are so naughty. I'm
wife-
so PC right now.
got me these, but I feel that it's like kids' bed sheets.
What's the big lump in the middle?
What is that? Oh, yeah, it's just,
what is that lump? Oh gosh.
no,
I was
it's just-
excited all of a sudden. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
Bruno.
sorry. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Bruno, it is always wonderful going down the rabbit hole with you. We will see you again next week, my friend. Have a great week.
See you guys. All right, see you guys. Have a good one.
Hey guys,
Bye.
before we go, I want to bring you a bit of breaking news. Some sad news. Ash Barty has retired hurt from the French Open. She was taking part in the tournament tonight. She was down 1-6. 2-2 to Magda Linette, but had to retire her, and she is out of the French Open. She had suffered a injury prior to the tournament, but made it through to the first round with a win over Bernarda Pera, but this second round wasn't able to complete. The injuries come up. She's out. She's the world number one.
And the world number 2 is out. Obviously, Naomi Osaka has taken her leave. What's the point?
Well, it'll be interesting. If she retires hurt, it could affect her rankings, but if number 2's out, she stands a chance of staying there, I would imagine.
I think so, yeah.
All right, well, that's happening now as we finish up tonight's edition of the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Thank you for being with us, everyone. Ange, it has been so good to have you back.
Oh, I love being back. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to our beautiful viewers for all of your amazing messages. Thank you, darling.
Yes, and Jason, thank you so much. We love your passion during the hot button issues. All right, we will see you next week. Who'll be hosting? We have no idea. But we will see you next week on the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Good night.
Bye. Ange, Rob and Robbo. Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Rob and Robbo Show.